Miami, July 5th and July 31st. Ice Cube's Big 3 is back at the Amerant Bank Arena, featuring big stars like Dwight Howard, Joe Johnson, Lance Stevenson, and more. And featuring your home team, the Miami 305, led by Michael Beasley. Grab your tickets now at big3.com/tickets or Ticketmaster. Presented by iHeart.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Garrard alongside the coach, Tim LaComb. I knew I'd get you on that one.
Yeah, Brian Adams.
Everywhere I go, kids want to rock. Bill Oram's going to join us coming up here in just a moment. I think Bill is one of the best follows on Twitter. I would highly recommend you follow him at Bill Oram. Was on the scene here with the Salt Lake Tribune for a number of years, and now is in Portland and with the Oregonian. And again, incredible follow, incredible dude, and always fired up to chat with him.
Oh, he's great. Excited to get the lay of the land in Portland. We've only just heard bits and pieces, but I'm sure Bill will fill us in.
I think already Tom Dundon, who I would anticipate would not spare any expenses to send out Christmas cards, but if he did, I don't think Bill Oram would be getting one.
No, not even one of those email, to save money, those email cards.
Email.
From the, some, like he jumps out of the sleigh.
Yeah.
And says, "Yeah, Merry Christmas."
You have
Tom Dundon.
You have your picture on a dancing elf, and it doesn't seem like he's that kind of guy. We'll talk to Bill about all the things going on up there, and now the home of Ja Morant, because yes, that makes sense.
Yep, it makes a ton of sense. The the Trailblazers, known a couple decades ago for not acting the best.
Oh yeah,
given a new nickname even, and they may, I don't know, maybe return to those roots.
Yeah, remember the old Jailblazers?
Yeah, I do. And Ja, if he keeps, I will say he's been pretty good for a couple of years.
Yes,
that we know of. But yeah, the gun thing got a little nutty there in Memphis.
We 20 years ago, we ran a promotion where we were given a bunch of Upper Bowl tickets to the Jazz versus the Trailblazers, and we're like, what kind of promotion can we come up with? And because they were all Upper Bowl seats, like the worst of the worst. And
every seat,
every seat's great. There's no bad seat. I'm just saying, like, they were Upper Bowls, and so if somebody were to
ticket snob,
if there were ticket snobs out there, we're like, okay, what can we do? So we had a getting high with the Blazers promotion. So
that's what you guys
getting the highest seat for the Trailblazer game, because at that point there was a little bit of issue inside that locker room with some dudes lighting up.
Did they go over well, or was it go up in smoke?
No, it was people took a bunch of drags on it. They loved it, and it was like just puff puff give, man. Everybody
what was the guard's
excited.
name that got busted with the bong?
Damon Stoudemire.
Thank you.
Dude, who's now was the coach of Pacific.
Coach of Pacific, yeah, and I'm sure the bong's in the past now for Dame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's
I'm
probably
sure.
just moved to the gummy.
Yeah. No,
a little easier and less obtrusive to carry around in your luggage.
Exactly. It's easier to take through, security. Yeah. No, they're my Flintstones. What are you talking
Throw
about?
them in your Skittles bag.
The Trailblazers may be getting back to their roots a little bit. So we'll. Joining us now from the Oregonian, I would say, I was just saying, Bill, if Tom Dundon doesn't seem like a guy that's going to spend a lot of money on Christmas cards, but if he were, I don't know if you'd be getting one right now. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I just don't know if that's true. I think Tom and I have a good relationship at this point, but I understand why you would say that. I'm good, Scotty. How are you guys?
Man, it's so good to chat with you. How are things up there?
Never boring, I would say, right now, at least as it pertains to the Trailblazers. The thing that is just wacky and is that there's like a massive political issue going on with the arena, and there is no guarantee that they're going to get an arena deal done on the stated necessary timeline. to renovate Moda Center. The league is expecting a deal done. The league has said that the arena needs to get renovated, basically for the Blazers to stay. The team leaving Portland after 50 plus years, is such a real threat. And I don't think I don't know how many people fully understand that yet. And yet Tom Dundon can't help make headlines on even crazier stuff than that. When you deal with the coaching search, the process of the coaching search, letting Tiago Splitter go, hiring a great coach in Mike Nori, or at least what seems to be a really good hire in Mike Nori, but on a mind-boggling contract, and now the Ja Morant trade, which I'm not a fan of. It's a really, really crazy moment up here in Portland.
Obviously, the big news outside of that was in the last 24 hours is Ja Morant making his way to Portland. We were just joking that, decades ago they were known as the Jailblazers. And, while Ja's been on his best behavior the last couple of years, there's a penchant for that. Your thoughts on that move, and what does that do with Drew Holiday and Scoot Henderson?
Yeah, I mean, you would assume that there would be more moves involving either Drew or Scoot. Shaden Sharp also, he's more of a 2, but like you can make it work with extra guards. I mean, I think the Blazers like the idea of Dame playing off ball a little bit more than he has in his career. So having some ball handlers isn't the worst thing. But then what does that do to Shaden Sharp, who seemed to kind of be the odd man out anyway in their guard rotation in the postseason? So I think you can anticipate more moves before the season in the backcourt. The jaw thing, the Jailblazer thing is so interesting and it's so loaded. What you said is basically what I wrote in my column yesterday, that this feels like kind of a throwback to that era, which is a really dark period in Portland for Portland fans. And, the term Jailblazers is loaded because there's a simple fact that nobody ever served a jail sentence. But beyond that, a lot of the things that happened, that get lumped into the Jailblazers era, it's Rasheed Wallace's, on-court behavior. It was smoking marijuana, which, we look at differently in 2026 than we did in 2000, and a lot of minor stuff. It was also Quintel Woods, dogfighting. It was Zach Randolph having, some issues with firearms. It was Sebastian Telfair trying to sneak a handgun onto the team plane in a pillowcase. And that's all stuff that kind of in a 6-year period really created a divide between the city and the franchise. And this is a team, as you guys very well know, is deeply in love with its basketball team. And, throughout most of the history has been regarded as one of the greatest fan bases in the NBA. You go back to like 2005, there was a lot of contempt between the city of Portland and the basketball franchise. And the Ja Morant trade for me feels like, I've had a lot of people disagree and I've had a lot of people agree. To me, I think it's an insult to fans who lived through that period, because Ja does not help your basketball team, in my opinion. I don't see the additive appeal in the rotation, in the guard rotation, in the backcourt. You've got good guards, even though Drew's old and maybe he's the guy who's on his way out. He has not played in the last 3 years. He's missed, I think, 167 games in 3 seasons. He hasn't been available. Some of that was suspension. Most of it was injury and surgery. He hasn't been available. He hasn't been the player that he was early in his career. And it doesn't really seem like he's learned, even, the stuff with, the guns on Instagram live videos, those were back in 2023. But, there was the incident, even something as simple as the league said, stop using finger guns to celebrate, on the court. And he couldn't do that. And he kept doing it and he got fined $75,000. So you're bringing in that guy into what has felt like a really promising and emerging culture. I don't see the appeal of it. I don't see the upside of it. I don't see the logic of it. And I think that all you need to know about Ja Morant is that the franchise that drafted him, that he became an all NBA player with, where he's, as popular as he was going to be anywhere, just traded him for what is generally considered the worst contract in the NBA, in Jeremy Grant. No draft picks attached. They just to get rid of him. So for them, it's addition by subtraction. And ipso facto for Portland, it should be seen as subtraction by addition.
So when you I want to circle back a little bit on the ownership. When Dundon buys the team, there was a little bit of a reputation based on what happened in Carolina, but Carolina wins, so he gets a little bit of a pass. Did people in that organization anticipate things would get as drastic as quickly as they did with him?
I think that there was a pretty healthy awareness that it was going to be pretty ugly. whether it was going to be layoffs of the magnitude that there were. More than 70 people ended up getting laid off, which was just a big number, but also generally understood that the Trailblazers were a heavily staffed organization relative to a lot of other teams in the league. So that wasn't so much a surprise. I think just sort of the severity of it caught people off guard. That's not something that had happened here in a very long time. Um, but it's everything else. It's the tenor of ownership. It's the lack of you know I don't want to say humanity, that feels too strong, but just the
Yeah.
very like decisive business like nature that everything is being done. um you know the Blazers for 30 years were owned by Paul Allen and later his estate, and there was a blank checkbook really for things that obviously on the court. I mean, you saw Paul Allen really invest in the roster when they had a chance to go for it in the early 2000s, but around the organization they were like well staffed. They've invested in a lot of other areas outside of the roster. Money got spent, and that is going to be very different now. And there was sort of a I think that you could almost look at it as a passivity within the organization from ownership. I mean, just almost like a lack of urgency because there was so much money there. But now that is not the case, and it's I think it's culture shock. It's just total culture shock. And I would also say, Dundon comes in and he's this brash Texan billionaire who made his money in some subprime loans, is unapologetic about being thrifty, and he comes in with like kind of a conservative ideology and a DGAF, I will say, attitude that really is not a good cultural fit for the city of Portland. And I think that as you look at kind of the way he's handling the politics of this arena deal, I've spoken with Tom several times. I kind of like Tom, I think, more than people think I do. But I think that you probably would be hard pressed to have found a worse cultural fit for the city of Portland to lead essentially a public trust like the Trailblazers than Tom Dundon. This is not like somebody who has um, any natural sort of kinship with the city of Portland. It's the exact opposite.
You mentioned the coaching search, which landed Micah Nori. Your thoughts on the search and him as the selection?
I like Micah a lot, and if you'd told me, at the end of the playoffs that Micah Nori was going to be that guy they get, I would have said that was a success. He is somebody who is well liked by players. He's obviously a very good basketball mind. He's been part of some great organizations. The huge part of what the Timberwolves did, going to the Western Conference Finals twice in 3 years. He is a well-regarded assistant coach who deserved a chance to be a head coach in the NBA. And the search, the process, I guess the question is, does the result justify the process? Because they gave him a 1-year contract, which I've never heard of in the NBA. Maybe you can go back into like the 60s or something, and there's a team didn't know if it was going to be around the next year. So the guy was on a 1-year contract. But this is not how it's done in professional sports. And I think there is something, it tells you so much more about Tom Dundon and the way he does business and the way he views things than almost anything else could. He wants to see you prove it. He wants to see you put some trust into him, and then he'll put trust into you. And I think the example here is what he did with the Carolina Hurricanes, who just won the Stanley Cup, obviously. Rod Brindamore was hired on a league low salary as the coach back in 2018. And Tom essentially asked Rod to take that leap of faith with him, and they made the playoffs every year. Rod has consistently gotten new contracts and raises. I don't know where his
Looks like we may have lost Bill there for a moment. We'll try to get him back on. But if there's one thing that Tom Dundon really has going for him, is that he's got that Carolina model. And he came in and said, all right, we're going to cut costs. We're going to do this. And ultimately, you've got a Carolina team that's now won a Stanley Cup. And so, that he's like, hey, look, it may not be popular. It may not be the most empathetic way of running an organization, but it's working in the NHL. Why can't I take that model to the NBA?
I mean, it's obviously his right as the owner. I think the bigger issue is the stadium or the arena issue and how easy it would be with no ties there to just yank the team and take them somewhere else.
And Bill Oram's back with us from the Oregonian right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Bill, so the Moda Center obviously is a huge issue. And so clarify some things. Dundon has said essentially, I'm not chipping in on any of this. Is that accurate? And if you want us to essentially stay, you got to find a way to make this work without money from me?
Yeah, so he has, he hasn't said in such explicit terms that he won't chip in, but he's not going to chip in. There's, the city, the state, and the county came together over the last year and sort of hammered out the broad framework of a deal that all sides could be comfortable with three public entities putting into a $600 million project. The Blazers, view this as, generating, an economic driver for the city of Portland, for a city that doesn't have a lot of economic drivers right now. The city has been backsliding since 2020. Businesses are leaving. The Blazers ranked last in sponsorship dollars, and so the cold reality here is that from a business standpoint, Tom Dundon could you could make more money or drive more revenue in a lot of other cities other than Portland. And so I think the view from the franchise is, yeah, Portland's kind of going to need us, pay us to stay here. But the result is you get a 20-year lease and we're going to continue to invest in the market. And that is, again, very different from the way, anything is operated over the first 56 years of this franchise. But, call it, a hostage situation or whatever. The ownership has the leverage here because the lease is expiring. The building is 30 years old and hasn't undergone a major renovation. And there are other cities that would be interested absolutely in bringing an NBA franchise in, regardless of what happens with expansion.
So with the move by the Blazers with Ja, because they were rumored for Jaylen Brown, there was obviously talks. Jalen's name's been thrown around, but does that effectively end that conversation, or is there still a possibility that could happen?
What's interesting is that in a vacuum, I think the Jaw trade makes a trade like the Jaylen Brown one more likely because they have additional pieces now. It would be easier to trade Scoot. It would be easier to trade Drew Holiday. But I just don't get the sense that the Blazers are all that interested in gutting their resources for Jaylen Brown specifically. He is a great scorer in the league. He's a 6'8", 6'9" wing, but I don't know that they're a very analytically run organization, and there's been a lot of talk over the last week about the analytics on Jaylen. I think that the Blazers' interest in Jaylen Brown is actually maybe cooler than has been widely sort of assumed.
All right, I can't bring you on here in Salt Lake City without asking you what's the situation there on ownership, potential ownership, site, and everything else that goes on along with their move to try to bring a Major League Baseball team there.
Let's try to keep the team we have first, Scotty. But I think that the Portland Diamond Project is watching this closely. I think they realize it would be probably pretty tone deaf to be, trying to move forward with baseball when the Blazers situation is currently up in the air. So I don't expect to hear anything more on that until the arena situation here is resolved with the Blazers. But they have the site. The group has kind of been lying in wait. You could look at that one of two ways: that they feel like they have their ducks in a row and are ready to pounce when the opportunity comes, or that it's lost momentum. And I would probably be on the side of the latter. I think that I don't think that there's been anything that I would consider encouraging on the baseball front since they got kind of the state approval for the pie in the sky bonding for a stadium. I just have not, and given kind of the heavy lift that doing business has been for the Blazers, I think that is really bad for baseball's efforts. It's not, if Major League Baseball is watching how the NBA is being treated here, I don't think that they're liking what they're seeing.
Donovan Clingan, one of the, I think a bright spot, definitely had a great season last year and just kind of big physical guy you can play through. What are your thoughts on his future, and what's your take on being able to watch him all the time as a player?
Yeah, he's been a great he's been a great story. I mean, obviously a guy who had high expectations and was hugely successful in college, but it's a position where it's hard to make the transition from college to the NBA, and um, he has been, I think, much more than the lob threat rim protector that they expected. I mean, he's a pretty good defender in space, pretty good pick and roll defender. He's started stepping out and shooting threes. I mean, the analytics on him, as when he's in the game, opposing teams scoring in the paint is nearly zero. He's I think nothing could speak more highly of Donovan other than to say that the Blazers have essentially deemed him unmovable in any deals. Like, if they were going to get serious about Jaylen Brown, they would want to figure out how to do that without including Donovan. I think that they are open to trading Scoot for the right guy. I think they'd trade Shaedon Sharp for the right guy. I think Donovan Clingan is in the group of guys, along with Denny and Tumani Kamara, that they would absolutely need to be blown away on to include in a trade. I don't think they want to do it, and I don't think they would, because they view him as that essential to their future and important to what they're doing defensively. Especially, by the way, if you're going to start Ja Morant with Dame Lillard, two guards who don't play defense,
who's going to guard?
You're going to need a great rim protector.
Hey, you know what? I think just to go full circle with you, I think that Portland needs to get on the LeBron James sweepstakes, bring him up there, and then you've got a whole host of things that you can talk about up there.
Come on in, LeBron. The water's just fine.
You could bring Bronny too.
Yeah, bring Bronny.
Make it a family affair.
There you go.
He's fully guaranteed now, though, right? So he's the new face of the franchise in LA. I was told.
Hey, Bill, you're the best, man. We appreciate it. Thanks so much, and let's chat again here soon.
Thanks, guys. Fun talking.
There he is, Bill Oram, Oregonian. Used to work for the Tribune here in Salt Lake City. Really good dude, and he's up there making it happen there in Portland. And as you mentioned, there's no for a small market town, there's no loss of good headlines up there right now.
Tom has given him reasons to write.
No doubt. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Miami, July 5th and July 31st. Ice Cube's Big 3 is back at the Amerant Bank Arena, featuring big stars like Dwight Howard, Joe Johnson, Lance Stevenson, and more. And featuring your home team, the Miami 305, led by Michael Beasley. Grab your tickets now at big3.com/tickets or Ticketmaster. Presented by iHeart.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Best thing that's ever happened to you financially. Go.
Easy. Sold my car on Carvana. Amazing offer.
Really? I hit 200 on the scratcher.
Did the scratcher come to your house and hand you a check?
No.
How many scratchers did you hit to get that? I hit a button on Carvana.com once.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like the lottery, except you always win.
Not like the lottery at all, actually.
Exactly. Inexplicably good. Offers worth bragging about. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
Good. It is the bad. It is the ugly right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, let's start with the good. Detroit Pistons center Jalen Duren, one of the top restricted free agents, has a pair of meetings, one of those with the Los Angeles Lakers. How much are people keeping an eye on this in regards to the Walker Kessler situation?
Oh, massive. You look for signs, breadcrumbs when you're lost. And, yeah, you got to follow this. Duren obviously is like Walker, a guy who could really anchor the middle for the Lakers and create a ton of rim protection. But anytime they're talking to somebody else, that's a good thing.
Yeah. And, I mean, look, this is a guy that made an all-star appearance. He was an NBA all-third team nod, averaged 19 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists for that Pistons team. Detroit certainly doesn't want to let him go, but I think the Lakers are looking at him and Kessler and be like, what can we do to make life miserable for one of these teams in hopes of bringing him in? So that will certainly be an interesting situation. As mentioned, the other team is Sacramento, as he plans on meeting with the Kings.
That is good. And I've actually heard that he wants to be in Sacramento, which I think if he does, they'd have a parade because he'd be the first.
Yes.
Yes, I'm home. I'm in Sacramento.
I've always wanted to be here. This is where I call home.
Is that the beam? Wow. I've only seen it on television.
Light the beam. So yeah, keep an eye on that. He and Walker Kessler very closely related. How much do you think he would the price tag would be on him?
Oh man, I was actually just looking to see, but I would imagine, and we're talking in that, I think 25-35 range for centers.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be in that. I don't think
it's got to be north of Kessler though, just based on body of work, right?
Yeah, but not much more.
Okay.
You know, I mean, he hasn't done a crazy amount of winning. They won this year. I still believe, Walker is actually, I would bet Walker's actually more of an offensive threat. Guy that just showed at least the beginning of last year he can step out and shoot it. So if that's something that continues to develop, that makes him a little more intriguing because Duran's more of a, I want to rip the basketball standard off of its hinges.
Yes. All right, there's your good. Let's get to the bad.
Now the bad.
All right, let's just say back in the day at BYU, you're coming back from a game or you're coming back from practice and you get pulled over for speeding. I mean, how tempting is it to say, hey, we're here in Provo. You're probably a BYU fan. I'm a coach up at BYU. And maybe you get Dave Rose in on FaceTime just to be like, oh, sorry, I was talking to the head coach of the men's basketball team, who is a good friend of mine and I work for.
Never used it, but I guess I could have and should have. Why, has that been done?
Dianna Russini, it just keeps getting a little bit, she keeps getting a little deeper and deeper into it. There is video now of her using some, let's just say friendly faces around the NFL to try to get out of tickets.
Pull me over.
Yeah. Officer Bernard, would you please be recording on my body camera? Can I just get your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, please?
Put me for phone.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to care. I'm an NFL reporter, and I just broke that Sean McDermott got fired from the Bills, and that is what I was just sending a tweet. I was going to pull over because I have to make calls.
Okay.
I know you don't care, but I'm just letting you know my reason why.
Okay.
It was a work thing, and it was an emergency.
And by the way, she did lie. She never actually was able to get a coach on. But I'm breaking the news on Sean McDermott. That's why I'm on my phone trying to tweet while I'm driving. I know you don't care, but that's why. Okay. That's great. Nice. Like, I just don't think that's going to fly. We've got a good friend of ours, the show, Officer Tony Brown. I think Tony actually retired, but if Tony's around, I don't think Tony would care if he pulled me over, and we're good friends. But I said, hey, yeah, I was on my phone. I was tweeting. I was very distracted while driving. However, it was because I was breaking some news in regards to the Jazz signing a player. Be like, okay, yeah, you're on your phone. You're a threat to everyone around you when you do that. So, yeah, you're going to get a ticket. I don't care.
So basically, what you're telling me is you were tweeting and driving at the same time?
Yeah, apparently that. Yeah, she's full out admitting it that she is driving. Which, hey, look, you know what? Props for her for being honest. But then also, like, I'm a well-established NFL reporter and I'm breaking news. And I'm like, really? Do you have to go? Just say, look, I was work-related. I admit I did it. It was wrong. Give me the ticket. I'll own it. I apologize. It was an emergency. I felt like I had to do it. That's it.
Cop pulls you over in Logan, walks up to the window, and you hand him your ID and say, hey, here you go. This is my name, but I'm really the voice of the Aggies. And
I'm sorry. Did I just give you my Utah State media credential? My bad.
My bad.
Okay.
All
right.
My
Whoops,
NBA
how did
one.
that get
Jeez,
there?
what am I doing? An NBA one. You like the Jazz? Have you ever heard of Chris Barney? He runs the whole thing over there.
Good personal friend of
Care
mine.
if I get Chris on the horn here? Talk to you for a minute.
Yeah, let me. I was FaceTiming Jim Olson, the president of the Utah Jazz.
She needed to be honked right there.
Yeah, she did need to be honked. All right, so I did not say I was the voice of the Aggies. I did get pulled over in Logan. My wife can verify this story, and my kids can verify this story. I did get pulled over in Logan. I did hand him my ID. I did not say anything. But then he comes back. He's like, "Oh, you're just coming back from the game, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "That was a good win. I was listening to you." I was like, "Oh, cool." And no, Lloyd, I'm not tooting my own horn.
I mean, you
here.
are a big deal. Let's be honest.
I'm just saying I didn't say.
Good for you.
And he gives me back my driver's license. He goes, "Please be careful next time." And I'm like, "You got it."
The power of one Scott Garrard.
I didn't look. It was luck. I know my wife might be listening to you say that, and she'd be like, "Oh, that may not. There may be." I didn't bring my name up. I just handed him the ID, and that was it.
See, I don't drop who I am because they'll probably just give me a ticket for that reason. I drop Scott Garrard's name. That's what I do.
Oh, stop.
You could have handed it to him as you handed it to him. Aggies win. Excuse me. I was just caught up in what I was doing 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, that was a big win against Nevada.
All right, this is one I've been holding on to. I'm going to tell it. I'll probably regret it.
Oh, here we go. I love it. Let's go.
I was coming home from a game in Salt Lake. We played at Delta Center, and my son was with me. And I lived in Provo, and we made it all the way to State Street in Oram, kind of almost Linden area. And, I got pulled over. And so dude had no idea who I was, and it had nothing to do with basketball. But he came up to the window, and he said, "Hey, what's going on? You're going a little quick." And I said, "I was just on my way home. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention." He said, "Well, was there something urgent?" And I honestly, urgently had to use the restroom. And so I told him, I've got a freaking reason to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's honking for the right of way.
Yeah.
And basically I was shocked, but he took it. He gave me my license back and he said, "Go find that spot, son." He didn't know who I was. I didn't say he knew who I was. He had some humanity for a guy in a tough spot.
Yeah, like, hey, look, you know what? I know I was going fast, but these leather seats aren't going to clean themselves. So,
Last year when I was driving down Tempview Drive. Another time, I don't drive fast often, but got pulled over and handed the dude my license, and he said, "Hey, coach."
Now that deserves a honk.
He said, "Hey, coach." And I said, "Hey, man." And, I knew that one was probably going to end well. And it did. Yeah. But I didn't ask for it like Dianna. Hey, let me you like Jimmer? Were you a big fan of Jimmer Fredette? What about Tavanari?
Yeah.
LaComb?
I could get JT on the horn here for you if you'd like.
JT, he would probably just drive down there, and he might get a speeding ticket driving down there so he could help you with the police officer.
The cop would probably say, "I'm going to let you go," because he would take most of my day if we were to chat. JT's a little windy.
He gets a little chatty.
Windy.
All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. David Locke's going to join us coming up in about an hour from right now, about 1 o'clock. We will not have a chance to chat with him coming up on Thursday's show, so we thought we'd move Locke a little up and chat with him coming up today. It's all right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Miami, July 5th and July 31st. Ice Cube's Big 3 is back at the Amerant Bank Arena, featuring big stars like Dwight Howard, Joe Johnson, Lance Stevenson, and more. And featuring your home team, the Miami 305, led by Michael Beasley. Grab your tickets now at big3.com/tickets or Ticketmaster. Presented by iHeart.
Best thing that's ever happened to you financially. Go.
Easy. Sold my car on Carvana. Amazing offer.
Really? I hit 200 on a scratcher.
Did the scratcher come to your house and hand you a check?
No.
How many scratchers did you hit to get that? I hit a button on Carvana.com once.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like the lottery, except you always win.
Not like the lottery at all, actually.
Exactly. Inexplicably good. Offers worth bragging about. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Radio in Utah is right here, right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. 11:52 here on a Tuesday afternoon. All right, so, Coach, the LeBron James era in Los Angeles has come to an end, and there's some storylines coming out about this I think are interesting. Rob Pelinka, apparently, in talking to Luka Doncic last year, referenced in a meeting that, hey, we're going to have $56 million in salary cap space once LeBron comes off the books in 2026. So this is something that I think the Lakers have been preparing for. It's something that I think they've been encouraging LeBron to go play elsewhere if he wants to play. Look, if you want to retire, we can retire you as a Laker. We can love you up. But I think props to Rob Pelinka. It sounds like he's been working towards a divorce, if you will, with LeBron for quite some time because he knows it's in the best interest of the organization.
Yeah, LeBron is, his time was great, and, the accolades and everything that he's done, speak for themselves. But the truth of the matter is right now he's a little bit of an anchor to the Lakers. And so to be able to move off of him and free up all that money will make a huge difference. Obviously, we got to swallow hard for a couple days to see where that money goes because they are after Walker. But in terms of the Lakers, this has been something that's been hanging over their heads. And I mentioned in the previous in a previous segment, to go to the lengths to have his son, who was not NBA ready, not just signed but drafted. This whole thing, there's parts of this that have been a charade. So they'll be excited to get out from under that, I would imagine. And it sounds like LeBron's trying to put together yet another super team. This one would have to play in the 55 and older league, but nonetheless, they're going to give it a rip. It looks like Golden State seems to be what I'm hearing the most. Second on the list is Cavaliers, but that's way down.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. I think throwing LeBron in there with Donovan Mitchell,
Harden.
Poor Sammy. I don't know if there'll be any shots for him.
Again, the defense is the question because LeBron is not capable at this stage to be as an impactful a defender, and then you throw him out there on that team with Donovan and James Harden, albeit James is, quietly a good defender in Kenny Atkinson's world, but they have no perimeter defenders.
Hey, look, analytically, they're the NBA champions, and so analytically, James Harden is the best defender in the league. And analytically,
you sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Oh, poor Kenny. Good coach. Just somebody's got to coach him up on what to say.
Yeah, I would probably lean on maybe even having a ghost speaker. Have somebody else come to the podium with prepared remarks from Coach Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny's there. Okay, I'm going to turn the time over to my to our PR representative, and he will answer the questions about the coaching decisions. And the guy's like, yeah, you know what? Tough loss. We're going to watch the film, and we're going to come back tomorrow. Thanks, Donovan.
And we'll be better for it. Couple things. Jock Landale's agreed to a contract. The interesting piece, a backup center, but he signed a 1-year, $14 million deal.
Kind of betting on himself a bit there.
Yeah, betting on himself. But I like, the Jazz were able to get Nurk 2 years, 11 each. So that seems to be a great move. Some other signings recently or agreements. A former Jazzman, Simone Fontecchio.
I forgot about Simone.
Signed a 1-year deal to go to the Heat and play with Giannis and Bam. Some floor spacing, some shooting.
Yeah.
Robert Williams in the last hour agreed to a deal to stay in Portland. And, we'll keep an eye on it. But everything opens at 6 p.m. Eastern. There's going to be a ton of dialogue up to that point and during that and through the 6th of July when everybody can put their name on the page and move to their new city.
Let's go. All right, kicking off your noon hour next right here on The Zone.
Miami, July 5th and July 31st. Ice Cube's Big 3 is back at the Amerant Bank Arena, featuring big stars like Dwight Howard, Joe Johnson, Lance Stevenson, and more. And featuring your home team, the Miami 305, led by Michael Beasley. Grab your tickets now at big3.com/tickets or Ticketmaster. Presented by iHeart.
Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun. An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast! An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.